How's it going, everybody? My name is GameNote321 and welcome to a Five Nights at Freddy's 3 video. Now, I've been doing some research lately and I kind of started to follow up on the previous Five Nights at Freddy's theory type of video that I did, and I was going to go over the night guard that you play as in Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Now, in the previous Five Nights at Freddy's video, I did a video about who caused the bite of 1987, and I had this one theory that I wanted to explain in that video, but I didn't want to make the video too long, so I decided to shorten it and put it in a different video, and here is the video. And I actually feel very confident that this is probably the ultimate theory of Five Nights at Freddy's 3. So I'm going to go ahead and go straight into it, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Give the video a like, please subscribe, and yeah, let's go ahead and hit the video. Alright everybody, now the first thing I want to get to you guys about is the security guards that you play as in Five Nights at Freddy's 1 and 2. We know the security guard that was in Five Nights at Freddy's 1, we know the security guard that was in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, but we're not giving much information about the security guard that is in Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Now let's go ahead and look at the check that you get in the end of Five Nights at Freddy's 1. If you look at this check, you play as Mike as that security guard. And during Five Nights at Freddy's 1, it took place in the 1990s. I'm just going to pick 1993. Now, if we look at the check that you get in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, however, your name is Jeremy. And you can see on the check right here, it says 1987, which means that took place before Five Nights at Freddy's 1. And if you were playing as Jeremy in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, that means it took place in 1987, which is when the bite of 87 took place. Now, if you recall back in Five Nights at Freddy's 2 on night 6, the phone guy explains that day shift just became available and he wants you to go to a final birthday party that takes place the next day after that during the daytime. So he wants you to wear your uniform, watch the kids, and make sure the animatronics don't hurt anyone. Now, I'm guessing that Mangle actually knew that the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza restaurant was going to be closed off for a very long time. So maybe when the Mangle knew exactly what was going to happen after that birthday party, the Mangle probably had a mind of its own, ran out into the kids area or the dining room, and bit the security guard in the frontal lobe, judging by her killing animation effect in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Maybe she did that as a last resort in hopes of them throwing her out of the actual pizza establishment and then she'll be set free. Who knows? I mean, I really don't know what Mangle has in her head, but it's a possibility that Mangle was the one who caused the bite of 1987. And if you want to see my theory video about that, you can go ahead and click on the screen right here or check in the description down below. But Mangle could have caused the bite of 87. People think it was Foxy. I even made the video saying that it was probably Springtrap who caused the bite of 87. And like I said, you can just watch that video. There will be a link in the description below. But since Mangle probably caused the bite of 87, the phone guy from Five Nights at Freddy's 1 does explain that someone got bit and survived in 1987. Now, if you were the security guard watching that final day shift and the Mangle did bite you in your frontal lobe area, that's a pretty big part of your brain. And judging by this picture right here, the frontal lobe causes movement, thinking initiation, reasoning, behavior, memory, and speaking. So let's say you did get bit in the frontal lobe by the Mangle. That's your frontal lobe, right? It affects all of that other stuff. So you playing as Jeremy in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, and say it had you in such a bad position that you had to go to a hospital and you were in a coma for some reason like that. And then when that incident happened, they closed off Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. And now with that said, let's go on to the next part of this video. Alright guys, so this next part of this theory right here is going to look at the check that you get in Five Nights at Freddy's 1. Now, as mentioned before, Five Nights at Freddy's 1 takes place after Five Nights at Freddy's 2. And remember what I just said, that you play as the security guard Jeremy in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, you get bit in the head, you get sent to the hospital, and you're in a coma. Now, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza in Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is closed off, and Five Nights at Freddy's 1 takes place. And when Five Nights at Freddy's 1 opened up, they had a lower budget and they wanted to bring it back. They wanted to see what would happen if they brought Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica back and stuff like that. So they decided to scrap the old toy animatronics and build 3 new animatronics, which is the main one, and they kept Foxy in the bag as like a spare suit. That's why in Five Nights at Freddy's 1, you see Foxy, behind the curtains in the out of order section right there. And when you get your check in Five Nights at Freddy's 1, you play as Mike, obviously. Now, I'm not going to go too much into detail about Mike because it might confuse you guys about this next part I'm about to talk about in Five Nights at Freddy's 3, so let's go ahead and skip to this Five Nights at Freddy's 3 part of this theory. Alright everybody, now let's go ahead with this final part of my theory. Now this is where it gets pretty, I wouldn't say confusing, it would start to become much more clear to you guys, so listen closely. Alright guys, so the security guard that you play as in Five Nights at Freddy's 3, we're not really given much information on. We just know that he is a human player because when you do get scared by the phantom animatronics that jump scare you, you breathe very heavily, and only humans can breathe like that, you know, robots can't. So you're not a robot, obviously. So that solves that question. Now, since you are a human, I'm thinking that you are playing as Jeremy from Five Nights at Freddy's 2. The reason why is because you see these weird hallucinations going around your area whenever you're working in the actual horror attraction. On the first night when the phone guy calls you, he tells you something about how there is faulty wiring and how if you don't mess with the vents, you'll start seeing crazy stuff and hallucinations and stuff like that. I think he's kind of joking a little bit, to be honest, because in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, when you get bit in your frontal lobe, if you were the security guard and you were the person that got bit in Five Nights at Freddy's 2 when you're playing as Jeremy, maybe you came back 30 years later after Freddy Fazbear's Pizza closed off in 1987. 30 years after that, which would be 2017, which is when Five Nights at Freddy's 3 takes place. So if you were the security guard that got bit in 1987 during Five Nights at Freddy's 2, maybe you came back 30 years later to work at Five Nights at Freddy's 3 or the horror attraction. And you came back, and with you getting bit in that frontal lobe area, maybe you missing that part of your brain causes you to see hallucinations or something like that. So that's why I think you are playing as Jeremy in Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Just because you get bit in your frontal lobe area, and you start to see crazy hallucinations. Now, they jump scare you, but they don't actually kill you. That's because you're missing that part of your frontal lobe, and you only have parts of that brain, and you have faulty, weird memories from animatronics that you've seen in the past. Now, let's go ahead and get to the Springtrap animatronic that you see in Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Now here is my little theory that I came up with about the Springtrap animatronic. Now listen closely, he might actually be a friendly animatronic, he just wants to escape. Here's why I think that. When you first start off in Five Nights at Freddy's 3, when you're playing as the security guard, in night 2 when you first see the animatronic, he will be around the area where the entrance of the building is at. And the entrance of the building is probably going to be closed off. I mean, you're the security guard and you're there at midnight and it opens up at 6 in the morning. So the doors are going to be closed. So maybe he's trying to escape out through the entrance, but the door is locked. And every time when the match starts, or every time when the night starts, he's up here in this general area. So maybe the little secret room that's up there in the establishment is somewhere up there in that area. Because in Five Nights at Freddy's 1 and in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, the phone guy does explain that there is a secret area on the map that isn't even shown on the map actually, that no employees are allowed to go to, which is the room that the Springtrap animatronic was trapped in the whole time, if you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to go too much into detail about that because I don't want to confuse you, but there was secret rooms available in all of the Freddy Fazbear establishments that contained secret parts and services and animatronic pieces like the Springtrap or Golden Freddy, who knows, maybe Golden Freddy was in there too. So now let's get back to the subject of me talking about the Springtrap being friendly and him wanting to actually escape from the place, not try to kill you. I don't think the Springtrap animatronic has any beef with you because we all know that the Springtrap animatronic is not just an animatronic. Animatronics function by the amount of children that are in a room. If a room is too quiet, they go to another room to find more children. But in Five Nights at Freddy's 3, the phone guy does establish that animatronics are attracted to sound. That's why when you play the sound, it sounds like Balloon Boy as a child, and then the animatronic goes to that sound. So maybe, since the Purple Man is in the suit, he's part robot, part human. The Purple Man himself wants to escape, but the animatronic part of his side is programmed to go to where the kids are at, and every time you play the Balloon Boy sound, he goes to that voice. So we all know that it's the Purple Man in a suit and his spirit came back to life. So maybe when his spirit came back to life, he wants to escape, something like that. And the reason why I think he wants to escape is because when you complete Night 5 in Five Nights at Freddy's 3, you play as the dead children, and when you go up into this room, you see the Purple Man being really super scared of you. And then once he gets inside the suit to try to, like, I don't know why he got in the suit or something. I'm guessing the Purple Man thought, oh, if I get in the animatronic suit, I can scare the children away. But no, that suit that he got into was the Springtrap malfunctioned. And then when he got into it, the Springtrap's locked and killed him. And then maybe his soul came back to life. And then when he knew that he came back to life, he wanted to escape. And the reason why he wants to escape is because the animatronics are phantom forms. And since he's scared of the actual children's souls, he's scared of the phantoms and he wants to escape. So when you're the security guard working there, Springtrap becomes functional. Because during the day, he can't become functional. He became functional, and then during the night, he's trying to escape. So when he starts at the entrance, he tries to climb through the vents to try to get to the exit of the building. And then when he gets to the exit of the building, he kind of looks at you in the camera view saying like, hey man, can you open this door or something like that? But you won't open the door because you don't speak animatronic or something like that, I guess. So he comes into your room and then he smiles for some reason. So I'm guessing maybe he smiles to try to be friendly and he's like, hey man, can you open the keys? Or can you give me the keys so I can open this door and he can escape and be free? Or he just kills you, takes the keys, and then he goes off free. And then when he goes off free, maybe he can cause havoc or something like that, kill more kids, and then cause another Five Nights at Freddy's game to appear, or he just wants to escape or something like that. I really don't know what happened, guys, but this is just my theory about this whole thing. Now, I try to answer a few questions as to who the security guard was in Five Nights at Freddy's 3, and what the Springtrap's purpose was in Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Now, if you have any comments about my theory, you can go ahead and comment them down below, but this is pretty much all I have to say about this theory, guys. Now, I know it's not the best theory out there, but I think it's well put together, and I think I should just make a video about it, and here's the video. So, I hope you guys like the video. Please give it a thumbs up. It will help me out a lot. Make sure you subscribe to my channel because I will be making more Five Nights at Freddy's videos in the future. I also do Let's Plays of fan games and stuff if you're into that too. And there's nothing else I gotta say, so I hope you guys like the video, and I'll see you guys next time.